Recently, I put a lot of time into playing Taph. I can confidently say Taph is 100% the most Survivor and Forsaken. Taph has a few key problems with her kit, but let me just outline their abilities first. As Taph, you have two abilities, Subspace Trip Mine and Tripwire. Subspace Trip Mine acts as a proximity mine which explodes once the killer is close enough, affecting the killer with both subspace and a helpless for 5 seconds. Tripwire acts as, well, a tripwire. You place 2 pikes on the ground and when a killer runs between them, they get slowness 2 for 4 seconds. Also, revealing the aura of the killer for 8 seconds. The best way of using these abilities is to put them in a spot where the killer can run into the traps without seeing them, extending chase and providing support for the team. In general, these abilities are actually not bad at all, and I'd argue they're pretty good, but the main issue with Taph's kit is how these abilities actually support the team. Because Taph's a support, his main objective is obviously to support his team in order to win the game, but one thing about his abilities which hinders his support is hiding traps from the killer also hides traps from his teammates. For example, say I throw out a subspace trip mine behind a wall. This gives me a good spot to loop the killer, as once I want to extend chase, they can't see the mine and I can lead them straight into it, blinding them. But when my teammates are in chase, what in God's green earth am I supposed to do? They have no clue where my traps are, therefore I have no way to support them. You can probably see how this might be an issue. But let's say my subspace trip mine is in an obvious spot, where my teammates can see my traps and lead the killer into it, giving them time to escape chase. But now, instead the killer can just hit my trip mine once, and it becomes completely useless. This is the problem with Taph. Not his blindness, not his health, not cooldowns, it's how his abilities fail to provide support when they're being used properly. With all this being said, there's a few solutions that I came up with to possibly fix Taph's kit. Number 1. When a survivor is in a certain range from Taph's traps, they will become highlighted to that survivor, allowing them to bring chase to those traps and extend their chase in the process. Number 2. When a survivor is hurt by the killer, Taph's traps will become visible for a few seconds, giving the survivor in chase a chance to lead the killer into the traps. This ability works very similar to Elliot's passive, but kind of in reverse, as instead of Elliot seeing the aura of a survivor, the survivor would see the aura of the traps. Number 3. When Taph places either trap, it will become highlighted to all survivors for a few seconds, allowing any survivor to become aware of Taph's traps if they need to lead the killer into them. There's probably a few more ways that devs could implement this, maybe balancing it a bit better, but the main gist is that Taph needs a way to show their traps to their team, because in their current state, they're pretty bad. Now that I've explained what makes Taph not so great, I can explain how you as a Taph can use your traps effectively and help your team. One way you can bring attention to your traps is by using the drumstick emote. This may sound a little silly, but it's actually pretty effective. The main goal as Taph is leading the killer into your traps, providing support for your teammates in chase, right? Well, you could use this emote to nudge your teammates in the right direction. Though this is team dependent and won't work all the time, Taph is basically completely team dependent anyways. The one downside to this is if the killer actually has a brain, they might notice what you're doing and try to avoid the traps, but you'd actually be surprised what you can get away with. Another way to play Taph effectively is using your tripwires as bait, putting tripwires in obvious spots, followed up by subspace trip mines in a hidden spot, which is not so obvious. Let me explain. So, once any competent killer sees a tripwire, they'll most likely M1 it. But this leaves them completely open to being blinded by your trip mine, which you so happen to have placed right beside your tripwire. The killer could counter this by backing up after hitting the tripwire, but this gives you more time to get away, so either way it's a win-win. And honestly, I really doubt a killer would do that anyway. You could do this with 2 tripwires lined up instead of a subspace trip mine and a tripwire, but it really doesn't work on Jason, and all projectiles pierce both, so it's not as effective. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my little rant about Taph, and I hope the devs actually find a way to fix him, but I guess we'll see when Snowy drops. If you like this type of video, I could try making more, I don't know, might just make more compilations, but let me know what you guys think. Also, more music coming soon, just wait, it'll be worth it.
Ay, caramba!